Welcome to the Google Cloud Update. I am your host, and today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. In this episode, we are diving into the key announcements and technical updates from Google Cloud for the week of June 15th, 2026. We have a packed show today. Here is a quick roadmap of what we will be discussing. First, we will cover critical security alerts, including some vital Containerd vulnerability patches in GKE, and new security controls in Secure Web Proxy. Next, we will dive into our data, analytics, and databases group, discussing some big automation improvements in BigQuery, Looker Studio, Bigtable, and AlloyDB's new integration with the Knowledge Catalog. After that, we will cover the latest AI developments, focusing on how Gemini Enterprise is rolling out workflow agents, custom skills, Slack integrations, and powerful database integrations like query data and parameterized secure views in Cloud SQL. We will also highlight updates to cloud monitoring and trace, including multimodal agent monitoring. Finally, we will wrap up with the latest in infrastructure, billing, and networking, including Spot VM insights, custom authorization protocols, and automatic object deletion in cloud storage. It is going to be a highly technical and informative ride, so let's get started. First, let's address some critical security developments. Google has issued a high-severity alert for Google Kubernetes Engine regarding multiple critical vulnerabilities found in Containerd, which is the container runtime for GKE. These vulnerabilities, which range from CVE 2026 to 50,195 to CVE 2026 to 47,262, can allow attackers who have permissions to create pods to bypass standard Kubernetes security boundaries. If exploited, they could lead to host compromise, local image cache poisoning, or denial of service through memory exhaustion. One particularly sneaky vector involves container restoration, where the container runtime improperly trusts Container Device Interface, or CDI, annotations. Because Containerd resolves these annotations on the host before invoking the gvisor sandbox runtime, GKE sandbox does not actually protect against host compromise from these specific vectors. But don't worry, Google is actively rolling out patches. If you are running container-optimized OS node images for GKE versions 1.30 through 1.34, the fixes are already complete. You should upgrade your node pools to the latest patches immediately. For the exact patch version numbers, please refer directly to the GKE release notes. Patches for Ubuntu node images and GKE versions 1.35 and 1.36 are currently in progress. Until you apply these patches, Google recommends several critical mitigations. First, strictly restrict pod creation permissions in Kubernetes RBAC. Second, avoid using the if not present or never image pull policies for untrusted workloads, and use always instead to force registry verification. Finally, monitor or restrict the use of container checkpointing and restoration features. Moving to network security, Secure Web Proxy has introduced two major features in preview. First, you can now use authorization policies to perform identity-based and content-based access control checks when processing outbound traffic. This allows you to delegate complex choices to scanning services using service extensions. Second, you can now integrate front-end mutual TLS or MTLS with Secure Web Proxy. This validates client identities and enforces granular access control on your outbound traffic. Rounding out the security segment, Security Command Center External Exposure is now in preview for the premium tier. This service helps you discover external assets, validate network exposure paths, and perform active exploitability testing to keep your perimeter secure. Next up, let's talk about data, analytics, and databases, starting with a massive update for BigQuery. Autonomous embedding generation is now generally available. You can now enable this on new or existing tables using the create or alter table statements. Once configured, BigQuery will automatically maintain and update a dedicated column of embeddings based on a source column as data changes. This makes vector-based search workflows incredibly seamless because you no longer need manual pipeline triggers to regenerate embeddings. Also in BigQuery, Gemini Cloud Assist is in preview, allowing you to analyze SQL queries and get optimization recommendations. And if you are troubleshooting query jobs, Gemini Code Assist is now integrated directly into the BigQuery Jobs Explorer, job history, and capacity management pages to help you diagnose performance bottlenecks. On the UI side, you can now resize column widths in BigQuery Studio listings by dragging the divider. Please note that daily token quotas for BigQuery generative AI functions have been temporarily disabled while Google resolves an issue, and the Table Explorer is scheduled to move to the reference panel starting in July 2026. For reporting, Looker Studio has introduced a highly requested feature, Viewer Data Refresh. Report editors can now check a box in report settings to allow viewers to manually refresh components or the entire report data directly via a right-click or the three-dot menu. Over in Bigtable, the Bigtable Studio Explorer can now search for all resources except for authorized views and column families. For database governance, AlloyDB's integration with the Knowledge Catalog is now generally available. This provides a unified metadata view across your database, simplifying data governance and analysis with near real-time synchronization, including deep metadata like primary and foreign keys. AlloyDB also got an upgrade to its Database Insights Remote MCP, or Model Context Protocol, server. It now supports advanced query insights, including aggregated query stats, wait event stats, time series query statistics, and index recommendations. Speaking of databases, Cloud SQL has some brilliant new integrations. First, Cloud SQL for Postgres is now fully integrated with Google AI Studio to help you build applications that use a Cloud SQL for Postgres Developer Edition database. You can write natural language prompts in Google AI Studio to quickly spin up full-stack applications complete with authentication, search, and persistent storage. This is officially generally available. They are calling it vibe coding, and it's a massive shortcut for developers building prototypes. Also in Postgres, query data now supports parameterized to cure views, or PSVs, in preview. If you are building agentic applications where a model translates user prompts into SQL, there is a risk of prompt injection or overly broad queries. PSVs mitigate this by enforcing row-level security and filtering results based on specific user credentials or regions, ensuring that natural language queries are executed securely. Additionally, Cloud SQL now generally supports backup vaults for instances encrypted with customer-managed encryption keys, or CMEK, which provides immutable and indelible storage with enforced retention. Lastly, Cloud SQL has finished rolling out minor version upgrades for PostgreSQL versions 14 through 18, and MySQL now supports minor version 8.0.46. If you use Oracle Database at Google Cloud, you will be glad to hear that support has expanded to the Osaka, Japan region. On the flip side, the blockchain node engine is entering a period of limited support. New node creation and the provisioning of new blockchain RPC endpoints are disabled. Existing nodes will run until final shutdown, but Google recommends migrating your workloads to their partner, QuickNode. Now, let's talk about AI, agentic workflows, and observability. The Gemini Enterprise agent platform has officially launched major features. First, workflow agents are now generally available with an allow list. You can create and manage agents that execute sequences of actions with a mix of AI automation and human intervention. Second, custom skills are also GA with an allow list. These allow you to package and reuse specific custom instructions across different agents. Third, the Gemini Enterprise app for Slack is now generally available. Administrators can connect it to Slack so users can query corporate data stores using direct messages or channel mentions. For data stores, ServiceNow integration is now GA, letting agents search, read, create, and update incidents, change requests, and tasks. In public preview, Gemini Enterprise has added several new third-party data stores, including Airtable, Calendly, Freshservice, Entercom, and Zoho CRM. To manage all these agents, Google has launched agent-level observability settings in preview. You can now monitor metrics and view trace results for specific custom-made agents inside Trace Explorer and Metrics Explorer. As agentic apps grow, monitoring them is critical. Cloud Trace version 2 now generally supports collecting and analyzing multimodal prompts and responses from agentic applications built on LangGraph or the Agent Development Kit. Similarly, Cloud Monitoring has added a Services and Workloads tab, letting you list, search, and open dashboards for discovered services, identifying them using the Cloud Asset Inventory. Also, the Cloud Logging API has added support for the Canadian regional endpoint, designated as CA, which helps with localized logging and data residency. Let's wrap up with infrastructure, billing, and networking updates. In compute, the AI hypercomputer now lets you view real-time availability, estimated uptime, pricing, and historical preemption rates for spot VMs before you create them. This helps you balance your budget while maximizing uptime. For secure AI workloads, confidential computing is previewing support for the GeForce standard 48 machine type. It features a 5th-generation AMD EPYC Turin processor, AMD SEV, and an NVIDIA RTX Pro 6000 GPU. Speaking of GPUs, Dataflow now supports the NVIDIA RTX Pro 6000 GPU for running Apache Beam pipelines. Dataflow also rolled out major streaming pipeline updates, including automated stop-and-replace updates, parallel updates with the same job name, auto-canceling draining jobs after a timeout, and template upsert capabilities. Additionally, the managed service for Apache Spark delayed its rollout of new subminer versions without pre-configured channels to June 22nd. In billing, Google has redesigned the Commitment Use Discounts, or CUD, dashboard in preview, centralizing all resource-based and spend-based commitments. Cloud Billing Reports also added 2 new filters: Products, which groups SKUs like Gemini Enterprise, and Originating Services, which tracks costs that one service causes in another, like GKE causing usage in Compute Engine. In networking, Service Extensions now generally supports the Extent Auth-Z Envoy gRPC API protocol for regional, external, and internal application load balancers. This makes it easier to delegate complex authorization decisions to custom external engines. The Service Mesh Envoy compressor filter is now generally available in the rapid release channel. In cloud storage, a highly practical new feature is available. When creating composite objects, you can now automatically delete the temporary source objects as part of the composition process. This is fantastic because you no longer need to write custom cleanup scripts or manage lifecycle rules just to remove temporary chunks. Finally, Google Cloud Contact Center AI, or CCCAS, is previewing HubSpot Agent Adapter updates, global and queue-level CSAT surveys via the Chat API, and advanced reporting dashboards version 4.36 with real-time queue metrics and child queue filters. Chronicle has also added Gemini Cloud Assist to feed management to help troubleshoot ingestion, auto-collapsed query editors, and deprecated its legacy Data Export API in favor of the more secure Enhanced Data Export API. And that is a wrap for last week's Google Cloud Update. Just a light week with critical GKE patches, autonomous embeddings in BigQuery, and vibe coding in Google AI Studio, right? Seriously, though, whether you are patching your container runtimes, automating vector databases, or rolling out custom Gemini Enterprise workflows, there is plenty of powerful new functionality to explore. Remember to check the official release notes for specific GKE patch versions and detailed implementation guides. Thanks for tuning in to the Google Cloud Update. I am your host, and we will see you next week for another dose of Google Cloud news.